Overdose deaths inside West Virginia's 10 jails are now the second leading cause of death. Only heart disease is killing more people.
But how are the drugs making their way inside, leading to hundreds of overdoses that are being reversed with Narcan?
Eyewitness News reporter Leslie Rubin has spent months gathering and tracking this data from the state and joins us now with more on that and a surprising find during her investigation. Leslie.
Drugs in jail are nothing new. They make their way in a lot of different ways. Visitors, packages, letters, even correctional officers. We know incoming inmates will swallow drugs or hide them in their bodies. These are all methods the Department of Homeland Security works to address and stop. But I found out lawyers able to deliver sensitive legal documents to clients face-to-face are a new trend on the radar of jail officials. We sat down with an attorney who says his client used him to try and bring fentanyl-soaked documents into the South Central Regional Jail. His story leading us to ask more questions about how often the drugs are getting inside and how deadly the problem is becoming.
What you're seeing are the moments former Kanawha County prosecutor turned defense attorney Mark Plants enters the South Central Regional Jail to visit a client on March 20th. He gets a folder from his bag, pulls out the papers he said he was asked to deliver to his client, and said he then realized something wasn't right.
Thank God that, before I went into the jail out in the lobby, I actually opened up the envelope for the first time and started to read the documents and noticed that they were powdery, they were grainy, and it just didn't feel right. So I immediately got a CO, a corrections officer, and said, hey, this doesn't feel right, and this, I didn't print this. There's something going on here.
The documents, disguised to look like West Virginia case law, had been soaked in fentanyl.
I absolutely feel used, and offended. You work hard, you zealously represent your clients, and then now they try to pull something over that could possibly get me in trouble.
5 days later, the Division of Corrections and Rehabilitation notified Plants that due to the serious nature of what happened, DCR was not allowing him to have contact visits with his clients in any state correctional facility or jail. The case was handed over to state police, who continue to say it's still under investigation and refuse to release information about it until it's complete. But Plants is adamant he had no idea the papers had been soaked in the deadly drug.
One of the reasons why I'm doing this interview, and I'm glad that this is a topic, is that this is, criminals are constantly thinking of ways how to break the law and how to get drugs. And this is one of the ways that I was totally unaware of until it happened to me.
We're now looking at a case that involves an attorney. Is that an issue that you're seeing now more frequently?
Well, Leslie, I cannot comment on current ongoing criminal investigations, okay? But we are looking at, and as you've seen how we've evolved over the past 60 months, we are looking at always news trends, how things are happening across the United States. We're members of a nationwide organization where correctional leaders can talk to people across the United States on trends that are taking place.
State Homeland Security Cabinet Secretary Jeff Sandy says those who want to get drugs inside the jails are constantly finding ways to circumvent systems put in place to stop drug smuggling. He recalls an incident within his first few months in office where 2 women had hidden a large amount of drugs inside their bodies before intake. They overdosed and were on life support for a month.
We realized we had to do something. And with the first pharmaceutical drug settlement, the governor provided us with the funding to get body scanners for every one of our juvenile jail and prisons. And I tell you, Leslie, it has saved lives.
The state spent $1.3 million on the scanners that can find hidden contraband on incoming inmates. According to data we compiled through the Freedom of Information Act, since mid-2018, contraband has been found more than 300 times with the body scanners in place at all 10 regional jails.
Those body scanners were less expensive than the 30 days each of those ladies that were on life support in one of our hospitals. So it costs money, but it has saved lives.
Sandy says West Virginia was the first state in the country to develop a program that photocopies all mail besides legal mail that inmates receive, and other states have adopted it.
The example that I like to use is they would have, we assumed children, but they were crayon colored pictures. Happy birthday, Daddy, happy birthday, Mommy, stuff like that. And we found out that they were putting illicit drugs into the crayon material, and they would color these pictures and send them in, and then they would take them and put them in their mouth like chewing tobacco, and they would chew. And we had overdoses in people that got very high from actually chewing crayon-colored pictures.
Our investigation found that of the 22 confirmed overdose deaths inside West Virginia jails since 2017, 55% of those were within the first 2 days of incarceration. Drug and alcohol overdoses make up 23% of the total number of deaths since 2017, second only to natural causes like heart disease. The number, though, is likely even higher. There are 19 deaths where a cause is still pending. Keeping up with the creative ways drugs are being trafficked into the jails, Sandy says, remains a priority.
We feel that we're doing so much better than we were in 2017 because we were having overdoses all the time.
Case number 22.
For plants, he says he understands the seriousness and hopes whomever was behind the plan for him to bring fentanyl into the jail with one of the highest number of overdose deaths statewide is held accountable.
I do look forward to the state police figuring out exactly who did it and moving forward with the prosecution.
Again, state police won't comment on the investigation involving Plants and his clients, who we did not name because they have not been charged in the case. But it's just one small example of what the jails are up against when it comes to the number of overdoses being reported inside these facilities. A lot of the information and data we have up on our website right now that we compiled through those open records requests is being seen for the first time. You can take a look at all of that information right now on our website, WCHS-TV.com. Reporting in the studio, Leslie Rubin, Eyewitness News.